Hello. Hello, my friends. Welcome to Remain Calm's channel. Hey, Constance. Hello, Poppy darling. Hey, CM. Hey, Mr. A. Good to see you all. It's always good to see you guys. All right, I got to tell you guys something. We're just going to get it out of the way. For some reason, YouTube has taken my monetization. I'm not sure why just yet. I can only imagine they, I haven't really been getting on because I was sick, la-di-da, la-di-da, la-di-da. So I just want you guys to know that if you want to support the channel, there is a Venmo, there is a Cash App. It's on the banner right now. I am changing this banner over to Summer Wells. That is who we're going to be speaking of today, my friends. And I will not leave that banner up. So please feel free to rewind and support the channel if you see fit. If you see fit. Okay. All right, hold on. Let me find my Summer. May. Come in here and put Summer's information in chat. I don't know where May's been. Hey, Chris. Okay, y'all, we are going to talk seriously. So if a troll comes in and disrespects this live, please feel free to get rid of them mods, okay? I don't like that when we're talking about a sensitive topic to a lot of us. You're having dinner? Oh, good for you. Okay, what am I doing here? All right, well, I had my notes pulled up, okay? And I kind of came across a phone call that Ziggy had with Dawn Wells. This phone call was from November 13th of 2021. Dawn Wells says some outrageous things, as he does, right? So I'm just gonna kind of skim through it and let's just see what they was talking about. Now, for some reason, okay, wait a minute. Wait, I went too far up. That's the lab. Don't want the lab, want the Ziggy one. Okay, like I said, this is from November 13th. Hey, Stephen, 2021. Now, these are my notes, okay? So for some reason, he was upset that Ziggy said no. He said all Ziggy cares about is Summer. Hang on a second. Hang on, y'all. Said everybody's about the drama. Drama sells. Upset with Chris McDonough, stating he doesn't care about Summer and only cares about Mary and Jeannie. What do you guys think about that statement? Doesn't care about Summer, but only cared about Mary and Jeannie. What do you think? And you guys can start leaving me comments, okay? Because that makes YouTube mad too, that Remain Calm doesn't, leave a lot of comments on my channel continuously, right? That Dawn doesn't like the drama. I think Dawn Wells enjoyed the drama. That's just my opinion, though. That is just my opinion. I think he enjoyed the drama. Hey, Mads, how are you? Good to see ya. Good to see you, Mads. I'm hoping Flies is feeling better. I do. I hope she's feeling a lot better. Oh, that's what you're saying, Chris? Oh, yes, you had a question mark there. Teacher is slacking today, darling. Okay. Da 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 da. So he believed that Chris McDonough only cared about Mary and Jeannie. I think that Chris was showing people what kind of an individual Don Wells was, right? Ruler over the knuckles. Yep. For sure. What happened to the gift gallery? What gift gallery? I mean, if you guys don't care, I may put out a wish list, but don't make fun of me for what I put on it. For real. Everybody made fun of me. I had toilet paper on my wish list. Flies ended up getting me the toilet paper. No, you can't send any stickers or nothing. They took my monetization away, Mr. A. They took it away. So, but I had been sick. I hadn't been on much. You know, I'm kind of lazy with it. So I think I can reapply in 3 months or something. I probably did something. You know, I did something. It's just figuring out what it was. But I'm not going to stress over it. For real. I am. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I mean, look, I am not going to sit around and cry about it. I am not. Did it help? Absolutely, it helped. The little bit that I would make off of YouTube helped. But, you know, hey, can't stop me. No way. For sure. Okay, so Don says everyone is a confidential informant. Said he didn't care about being recorded. He didn't have anything to hide. Said he'd been to the Dallas County Jail 3 times. Don had been to the Dallas County Jail 3 times. Said he had to stay locked in the hotel room in California. They couldn't go out there and party and do Coca-Cola and smoke marijuana. We couldn't do that stuff. Had to stay locked in the motel room because all they did was party, weddings, etc. They did it for summer. They didn't want to be there. They were stuck there like prison. Oh, Lord, Don Wells. They were in California for a week. They wanted to use the scooters, but nobody could figure out how to set it up. Dr. Phil's people were cool. Why do I have this? YouTuber telling Don he is like a daddy to them and want him to quote scripture. What the fuck is that? That is in my notes. Tuber telling Don he is like a daddy to them and want him to quote scripture. They are all after the same thing. Don claims never to have been on Facebook or YouTube in his life. He understands street life and some things in the substance world and prison life. Okay, so, I mean, Don's telling us right there, right? Is she in here? Flies. I missed you. I just didn't want to bother you because I knew you wasn't feeling well. It's so good to see you. I hope you're feeling better. I really do. I just kind of started feeling better the last couple days because it was pretty bad. Oh, thank you. Thank you, the mouse. Thank you, darling. Very sweet. So, I mean, look at what Don's told us about himself already. That for some reason, there was a little bit of attitude because he felt that all she cared about was Summer, that everybody was about the drama, right? He tells us he was in county jail 3 times. We know that he's been to prison, right? He stated that him and Candace do care about what people say. Don and Candace look up to people from similar backgrounds. He said everybody's a snitch. Everybody's a snitch. Yeah, that's what I was worried about. That's why I just left you be, Flies, because I knew you was feeling bad. For sure. Okay, we got he starts talking about the family. And I truly think that Chris McDonough was trying to let people understand a little bit about the mind of Don Wells, right? That guy said some really disturbing things. Really disturbing things. And when he said that his 5-year-old stepsister came on to him being 12 years old when it happened, that just pulled the plug for me. Blaming the victim. That's what I seen him doing. But yeah. Yeah, they look up people similar background. Everybody's a snitch. Family called cops. His PO and welfare on him his whole life. What Mary says is not the truth. They are snitches, but says blood sister will tell the gospel truth. So Don Wells has a sister named Sonia. From my understanding and what I remember, and please, if I remember wrong, come and let me know for sure. If you want a link to come up, let me know. I'll drop it. I'm reading right now, so I don't want to get off this tab. But yeah, I'll drop it real quick. Well, I'll go ahead and drop it. I just ask that you know, we kind of keep it kind of a serious tone. Don's prayer in church. We watched a guy that was getting very intoxicated on social media, then go into a church on Saturdays to pray, right? I heard something really freaking interesting. Goodness sakes. Oh, flies. Girl, you didn't have to do that. I love you. I do love you, girl. I do. Okay, so let me see where I was. Okay, this is kind of interesting here. So he said the family called the cops, his PO and welfare on him his whole life. Okay, so how would they, what does he mean they called welfare on him? They had never even met his children, right? The only one that met Don's children was Sonia, correct? Am I correct about that? Mary had never met Summer. Well, they met Josie because Josie was with Don when he went and lived in Utah. So they had met Josie. But they hadn't even met Candace, right? That's what I remember. If I'm wrong, please let me know. Please. Okay, so let's see. Sonia will tell the gospel truth. He also talked about the job he had at the Air Force Base. He said he had high security clearance. He worked off the runway and he lost that job, he says, because of them. Family said he tried to sell his kids, and also there were maggots in their diapers. Don says bullshit. Don called bullshit on that. I would, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's bullshit or not. He talked about his daughter, said she calls him all the time needing money. She wants to stand up for him, but her husband doesn't want to get involved. So to Don, he's a little bitch. These are Don Wells' words, not mine, okay? And he will smack the shit out of him. That's what he said, of his son-in-law. Right? Yeah, Candace or the 3 younger kids. Right. Right. Kind of wild. For sure. Says he has a lot of stuff because he's upset. He's used to going to work and being around people who had jobs. They are what they are, and they're not used to the YouTube crap. Said if his sisters wanted to call him, they had his number and they are trying to set him up. Said he'd break Chris McDonough's jaw. Says the police doesn't like Chris McDonough and would let him get by with it. So Don is saying, I could punch Chris McDonough in the face. He's saying it. I'm not saying it. I don't incite violence over here. But yeah, and that law enforcement would be like, Yeah, Dawn, good for you. That's what he's saying. Okay. All right. Where are we at? Let me see. Said most YouTubers are narcissists. Said what Chris McDonough's doing is very wrong. Says this is interesting. Okay, listen to this, y'all. Said what Chris McDonough's doing very wrong. Said Chris McDonough is a wussy because he is catering to women. Catering to women. I don't look at Chris McDonough showing kindness to basically, I have to say, alleged victims of Dawn Wells. I don't. I really think he empowered these women to come out and speak their truths. Just because he did it, other people did it too. Okay. Anywho, let's see. All right, hang on a sec. Hold on, please. I have to scroll up. Scroll it up, girl. Scroll it up. Okay. So this is finishing what he said about Chris McDonough. Instead, he wants to be a little bitch because women love little bitches that they can control. Women will do anything for Chris McDonough. And that is very smart. Dawn says, I give him that. I personally did not see Chris McDonough controlling women. I mean, that is just my opinion. I have to stick with that. Okay. Let me see where I was at. So, this is the thing. From this conversation, Dawn feels like Chris McDonough is, well, these are his words, shoving him down in the dirt, saying he was doing all this crazy stuff, things that he is saying he don't understand what he's doing wrong, very wrong. Those are interesting words right there, right? He doesn't understand what he is doing is wrong. All right, he's bitching about Chris McDonough. I'm going to go through that quick. Okay. Let's see. He says Chris McDonough is telling people he doesn't deserve life and he should unalive himself. And you don't know how many times he thought about it. And you don't know how many times in the past he thought about it because of the things his stepsisters have done. You don't know how many times I've tried to do it because what they done. What they tried to make me believe, it's all satanic. That's what he says. It's all satanic. Okay? You can kind of see where he may feel like Chris McDonough's, pushing him down in the dirt. I think that in Don Wells's mind, what happened when he was 12 years old should not be a thought in anybody's mind, right? Well, this is something I want to put out there too, CM. And is the fact that what if Summer was taken? Okay. And Dave Radar kind of talks about this. If she was taken, the individual who took her becomes way overwhelmed when it kind of took on a life of its own after Summer went missing. So if this person got freaked, they took her and just dropped her off. Okay? So that would mean either she's in that area, but what if she got picked up twice? What if she got picked up twice? Hey, Twister. Yeah, I mean, Don believed right away, that she was taken. Right? He believed that right away. He knew she wasn't out there. But if you think about that theory, that's where they wouldn't have dropped her off near anywhere. They would have dropped her off to Summer. It would have been out in the middle of nowhere, right? She would not have known where she was. She would not have known where she was. Because even though, of course, you can kind of figure she was around that property and stuff, right? But then, so how do we know? You would have thought that at some point the searchers would have came across her. There's no way that Summer, with allegedly no shoes on, was going to walk around in woods that she doesn't even know. So of course it's going to come to your mind that when it got dark, she didn't have a light or anything, right? She would have had to have stopped. She would have had to have stopped. So, I mean, anything's possible though. All right, let's hear some more of Dawn's weird ass shit. So one thing I always noticed about Don Wells, every conversation became about him, right? Well, I mean, I don't know, Twister. I agree with what you're saying, though. You would think wherever she was dropped off at, she would have had to have kind of seen which way they were going, right? Is this part true? DCS was at the home the day before. Dawn says that CM. Don says that. Of course, CPS ain't come out and said anything, but Don said, yeah. Don said that. Okay, so he says it's satanic shit. That he said it's all satanic. In my mind, I have actually tried, and it's just all satanic stuff, and believes this is all satanic stuff. This is all satanic stuff that they are doing. It's satanic. He says satanic in one sentence about 12 times. I'm over exaggerating, of course, right? Yeah, there's no confirmation for sure. He says he almost did exactly what they wanted him to do. Satan wants. They don't realize that they are playing into Satan's hands. He says they're doing good, they're making money, but blah, blah, blah. How dare they treat him the way that they are treating him? He just is going off the deep end about Satan. Don says he wants to be real and truthful and a commandment keeper. I wish I had $1 for every freaking time, that I heard Don Wells say that. I would have me a nice little nest egg. I really would, for sure. Okay, yeah. He is a commandment keeper. He kind of puts blame on his niece Trish for coming forth with information about Dawn, inappropriately, allegedly touching young girls. But I don't think anybody really comprehends how many women, y'all, have talked to Utah. I mean, that was all sad. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Don Wells talks about himself. Says people are acting like him, saying nothing like what they are, blaming it on his niece Trish. Everything Mary says is a lie, and his dad's medical condition. And when he went to Utah from California and put a video out on the Dawes Wells family channel, Mary stated Dawn and Candace couldn't go on YouTube without being arrested. I don't know if I ever heard Mary say that, but he can't speak about the boys. Gives permission for photos, etc. Yeah, he's a very weird ass character. Weird ass. Hold on, I've got to scroll up here again. Scroll up there, girl. Okay, he talks about CPS in this. Okay. See, this was interesting to me too. in this conversation, hey, my insane world, in this conversation, he talks about 423 Chase. Okay. Don says nothing wrong with telling truth. Mary's a bear, just trying to defend from these lies we have. I have to. I got people coming up, you know that 423 Chase threatened to blow my effing things in your head out. A guy would have to go to his house and everything else. I invited him here the following day to talk with me before TBI went to his house the next day. Wait, what? What? I forgot this. All right. Let me kind of skim over what I just said. So he said that 423 Chase, obviously, when he kind of inserted himself into Summerwell's missing case, Don says he threatened to basically unalive him, execution style. And he says a guy would have to go to his house and everything else. I invited him here the following day to talk with me before effing TBI went to his house the next day. Why would you feel the need to do that, Don? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Why would you invite him to your home to talk with him before possibly law enforcement talks to him? Why doesn't any of this shit make sense? Again, he states about the boys not being there, it's dangerous. Didn't want the boys to know how dangerous it was. He says, this is what he says about CPS, right? TBI going there. Going to 423 Chases. I mean, these are things that just don't make sense to me. Your daughter's missing. You have an individual who you say has threatened to unalive you at some point. And before TBI goes and talks to him, you want a private conversation. No, Poppy, you should. Oh, you're okay, Poppy. But yeah, my membership's not up, babe. Nobody should be paying for a membership over here at all. It should all be paused. But we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Like I said, you guys, I am, I'm going to look into it, see what it's all about, but I'm not going to sit here and stress myself about it. I can't. I cannot do that. It's okay, Poppy. We will get back there one day. I promise you. I promise. I do get a little feisty sometimes, but I hadn't really been monetizing my stuff. So for real. Don Wells made up a bunch of stuff to get attention. I don't remember. They went to Chases. Yeah, I never heard them say they went to Chases. For sure. So he said CPS case was closed. It was closed then when all this when all this, when with Summer disappeared or she was abducted, they had to open a CPS case for the protection of our kids and everything else. They just had to, that's just protocol. They've been nothing but cool as hell to us. To be honest with you, they had to deal with all this shit to the same way we have. Okay, so Don's saying that the CPS case was closed. Oh, hey, Sarah.
Oh, wow, you saw me quick. Is my sound okay?
No, I'll fix it though.
Okay.
I'll fix it, lady.
Dang sound.
No, you're good. I'm just glad I know how to do it because I am so computer illiterate.
It just takes a little practice.
There you go. I got
Oh,
you.
okay, so about your, I was just kind of listening while I'm doing some editing over here, and I heard you talk about your monetization.
Yeah.
And I wanted to let you know that there's a big thing going on in the last few days on YouTube. Like a lot of people in our community are getting hit and suddenly don't have monetization, or the channels are terminated.
Well,
It's not
luckily I'm not terminated. They just took my monetization.
right. And there's some info going around on what not to do, what yes to do, and it seems like they're using AI to scan channels, and AI is screwing up, and they're deleting even big channels that have like, I mean, really big channels are getting hit. Now a
Right.
lot of people in our community have woken up to being demonetized. So I want you to know it might not be something you did per se, but
Right.
it might be an accident.
Right. Yeah, I got to figure it out. And I had already got rid of, because I played a bunch of music the other day. So
Hmm.
I had got rid of that before I even went into my YouTube studio and seen that I wasn't monetized. And then turn around and they were like, well, you can, you can fight it if you want, but you have to do it. You can only do it if you haven't deleted any of your lives that you have up. And I had already
Really
deleted. Yeah, I had already deleted one, and I was like, well, I just got rid of that one. So
strange.
yeah, it was weird. I don't know. I don't know.
Um, you know, a lot of people were terminated. Like Mama T's channel was terminated. Mark, which I don't know what happened to them. I know a couple other people woke up to being demonetized. Shannon was demonetized the other day. It's like, oh, I guess I'll be next. You know, I guess they're just taking everybody. A couple other channels too on our side. It's weird.
Yeah, I've gotten a little feisty the last couple lives I did. So
No, I just want to let you know, like, I think they're making mistakes is the thing. And people don't even get a say when their channel's gone. How they don't even get a right to fight it. So it's really they should really like reassess what they're doing in the programs they're using because it's not fair that
right.
they're literally destroying people's stuff
Yeah,
on
for
accident.
sure.
So at least you have a channel. That part's good.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna try to behave myself a little bit. I
And
can't
some people
promise anything though.
and in some of the cases for the people that were demonetized that not only can appeal it, they're saying like a lot of those people can reapply in 3 months from what
Yeah,
I've been reading.
they said I could reapply in 3 months too.
Okay, so you're getting that one too.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll probably get that one next.
yeah.
Um,
So
and I was going to drop your info and cash. You know how I saved your tip thing. So what I was going to do is drop it, and you can pin it so that do you know how to pin comments?
yeah.
Oh, okay. If you want to do that, you can when I drop it because I always save everyone's links.
Oh, do
That's up to
you?
you. But I am going to drop it when I just wanted to tell you all that stuff and
Oh, thank you, Sarah.
let you know you didn't do anything wrong. It's most likely the AI.
Well, I'm glad you did. I get a little bit paranoid because I just say what I feel over here, and you
Me
know, I
too.
I admit sometimes I'm a little over the top. I admit that.
I think I can be too.
So
So it's all good.
it is. It is. I'm still gonna hang out anyway. I ain't letting them take me down.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Okay, maybe I'll be next and I'll be up here complaining. So,
Heck yeah, girl. Oh, thank you for letting me know though, Sarah. For real.
yeah. Oh, sure.
That makes
And
me feel better. I mean,
yeah, I wanted to do that. I
I
wanted to
feel
do
bad
that.
for everybody else, but that did make me feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I wanted to tell you. So,
For sure.
all right,
For
maybe I'll
sure.
come back in a little bit, but I'm going to be in the chat listening while I do my stuff, and maybe I'll come back.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
All right. Sarah's so cool, you guys. She really is. She's a cool cat. Okay, so this is when he gets permission for the photos and stuff. Talks about 423 Chase. Okay. Says CPS case was closed. He talks about poor ass Ronnie Lawson. Said he's nothing but a good dude. He's a good man. Don feels for him. That's funny. He talks about a fundraiser. He really does. Wait. Ronnie Lawson, judge getting attacked. Good dude. Says he's awesome. I feel bad for him. Everybody makes mistakes. He talks about a fundraiser. Says we should make a video to cover Ronnie Lawson because he's a good man. Law enforcement here are doing everything they can. You know, people wondered if him and Don were related, right? Now, Don talks about his dad, okay? He talks about his dad was from this area, he said. He ran away when he was a kid. He went to the Korean War. His dad basically had no money. He talks about a race car driver basically picking up his like 13-year-old homeless dad, taking him in. Okay. Let me get to the interesting things, because he says a lot. Talks about being born on the island. You know, that's why people in prison loved him, because he was, you know, born on the island, he said. Talks about, you know, Don's always said, right? And children in Memphis. Wow, that's interesting. I'll check it out. I'll check it out later. Thank you for that. Okay, so he talks about Allie and them, right? Candace said that she's 5'5" and weighs 160 pounds and doesn't lie about anything. That's what she said. Says he can't understand anyone trying to clear Hunter and Allie. Can understand clearing Hunter if he's not guilty, but what Hunter pulled, they are even convinced that Hunter didn't come up there himself and grab Summer. We're not sure. Candace said Hunter's playing a game. Says Hunter has lied constantly, and so has Allie, and Chris McDonough's the biggest liar of them all. Said, you know, basically F them. F them. As soon as Summer got gone, Hunter and Allie turned on Candace. Allie wasn't even talking to Candace long before, well, not long before, but before Summer went missing. They had gotten the fight over the Jose, right? I know, flies. That's why, you guys, when I get into my notes, it's like ding, ding, ding. I forget. So I have just forgotten so much of it. But I know that some people, think I'm crazy because I transcribed all of this by hand, a lot of it by hand. Then I, of course, have a couple files on my computer that I still work on off and on. But I have these conversations. And when I write, as this is the thing, maybe this will help make sense. As I was writing these things, I would, of course, have to go over things a couple times, right? Just to make sure I heard it correctly so I could put it in correctly. And as I'm doing that, I would watch the behaviors of these individuals having these conversations, especially if they had their camera on. You better believe it. So it helps me. Hey, Sage, it really helps me to remember a lot of it. It really does. Sometimes that makes all the difference. All the difference in the world. Okay, where am I? Okay. Let's go through the. I'm a mafioso gang member that everybody loves, that will let me just walk up onto one of their properties and ask them for anything I want, right? Well, we'll find out. Well, that's probably because somebody a little similar is out there, right? And we do say hi to everybody. We're friendly over here. Are you not used to that? Are you not used to people saying hello when you come into their chat? So basically, you're telling us that you're somebody else. I don't have time to look you up right now. Well, then you don't have to be here. I mean, if you don't think we're friendly, then why are you here? Did you just come over here to say you didn't like us? Well, good for you. Good for you. Very interesting. Missing cases, absolutely. Okay. So let's see. Let's get through like I said. So, see, Don had said that. Do you guys remember when he was talking about Hunter, right? If we don't like what? Nobody's asking you if you're Ernie's crew. Okay? I don't know what you're even in here arguing about. For real. Well, you know what? You're more than welcome to stay in here, but this live is not about you right now, okay? we're completely talking about something else. So if you want to hang out and be in the conversation, you're more than welcome to. But other than that, I don't care. For real. I'm not dealing with that. No. Do whatever. Okay, so Dawn felt that Hunter and Allie basically started in after Summer went missing. But we know that, like I said, Candace and Allie had a falling out. Now, Allie was still letting Candace go around Hunter and them. Okay? Said she wasn't gonna, that the kids were, the kids weren't involved in Allie and Candace's little spat. So they were still allowed to be around Candace. They said Candace would go to Sherry's house, which was Allison's mom. Okay, so he said, talking about my daughter, and it ain't no effing joke. We are talking about my daughter. Why did they turn as soon as Summer came up missing? Don at that time said he had been trying to talk to Allie and Hunter, trying to find out the truth, but can't. He said, I have to send the police on them and everything else. Did Don send the police on Allie and Hunter? I don't believe he did. The reason law enforcement spoke with Hunter was because he was allegedly one of the last people who did see Summer. One of the last people. So, now, this is what I have in my notes. So, he said the day Summer was swimming and everything, Allie called Candace and begged her to take Hunter to the swimming hole with them with Summer. And that's the video on TikTok. Dawn said there were no plans or nothing. She begged Candace to take her there and go swimming. This is crazy. I forgot all about this shit. Okay, so he's saying that Allie begged Candace to come and take Hunter. Now, you can go back, right? Yes. Well, Poppy supposedly, right? Yeah. Yeah, that is a point, Amy's Brownies. Little Dev. TB, yes. Law enforcement talked to Hunter. TBI talked to Hunter. There was like 4 different agents that went over and had a conversation with Hunter. The last one was a female cop, is what I remember being said, right? They absolutely talked to Hunter. Absolutely. Okay, so, Dawn, we just don't forget, Dawn put out there that he was trying to kind of act like Hunter's dad because he didn't have a dad, right? Yeah, they took his phone. They had his phone for a long time. They had his phone for a long time. Remember? That's what he said anyway. Okay. So Hunter's a liar, they say, right? He's playing a game. Did he not know? How fucking weird is it that Candace and Allie's friendship ended allegedly over Jose stating he liked chicks with a little bit extra, we'll say, right? Hey, H. All right. Allie says it publicly, and Candace says it publicly. I wonder how Dawn Wells felt about that. Right? How weird is that? Who does that? Crazy. Craziness. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so he's trying to say that he has to send the cops on Allie and Hunter. Allegedly, he's saying that Allie begged her to come and get H. Now, those text messages are out there, you guys. I'm not going to pull them up because I'm just kind of reading right now. So Don says he thinks that Hunter went in the woods at the horse pond because he was having conversations with Allie about something. That's what they said. He also said that Robin heard Allie saying something at the parade. Robin and Candace were walking the banner down the parade route, and they said Allie was there and was making messed up comments to Candace. Right? Robin said she heard him stating something along the lines of, ha ha, they got your daughter. That is what was said, allegedly. Right? So very quickly, Dawn went from caring about Hunter and, wanting to hang out with him. He didn't really have a father figure. Doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, but I guess if Dawn thought that, then something made him think it. He said, it's not about them, it's about my daughter. Many times I wanted to go over there and just go off on them. My poor daughter is in the balance and they want to play games. What kind of games were they playing, though? I mean, look, this is the thing, you guys, honestly. I can see A lot of them played the money game for real. Okay. The thing about it is, yeah, I mean, there was, okay, you can pull it up. It's out there. Andy Bernard stating that basically he came to YouTube. He needed a little bit of assistance in his life, right? Monetary assistance or whatever. He says that. He does say that. It's out there in a video somewhere. I just seen it again here recently. Right? Well, no, Deb, I get what you're saying because that's not on the, I do not think that that's on the fact sheet. I don't think that would be something that they would put on there, right? Because everybody's still a person of interest. I haven't seen anywhere. I'm going to check that, Dev. I'm going to check the TBI website again and we'll see exactly what it says on there, if anything has been added. I don't think that, I haven't seen no one I haven't seen law enforcement come out and say that anybody has been cleared. Not that I know of. Right? For sure. Okay. Remember, Allie also said after the Jose incident, she called law enforcement on Candace. Something about the kids being up there. Candace wouldn't give her the kids and held a weapon or threatened her with a weapon. Right? That's what Allie said. And the call is out there, you guys. The call is out there of that. And sorry, I'm not pulling it all up, but I'm just skimming through these notes. Okay, so so yeah, Don's gonna go kick their door in. How dare they make it about them when it's about his daughter? He also talked about wait a minute. Oh, okay. So he talks about, this is what he talks about. Do you guys remember Hunter getting in trouble for, and I'm just going to say allegedly, trying to take a car, right? Trying to jack a car. Don says, he talks about going over there, kicking the door again. Not about them. It's about Summer. His poor daughter is in the balance. They want to play games. He said Hunter's a minor, but him and his little gangbanger friends tried to pull a woman from her car and steal her car, and she had a baby in the car. Now, I heard that, right? I think we all heard that. So, she fought back. He was charged 6 months before Summer came up missing for a serious crime. And because he was a juvenile, he got a slap on the wrist. I'll play devil's advocate a little bit here, because even though he was a juvenile, I really believe I would think that jacking a woman's car with a kid in it would be a very, very serious crime. So we don't know. I mean, right? Mm. Oh, you talking about the PI, right? Okay, so yeah, Hunter had been in some trouble. Hunter had already been in some trouble. So now Hunter in his interview, I've said this before, you guys. Hunter in his interview talked about dry drowning. He talked about Summer possibly hitting her head or whatever. I and don't get me wrong, but the dry drowning statement, I always felt, this is how I felt, that that was a conversation that probably Allie, her mom, what was that girl's name? What was that girl's name? I hate that because she passed away. Please tell me her name. Allie's newfound friend, right? No, Sherry's her mom. Sherry was the mom. I believe her grandma's name is Cassandra or something, right? Oh, yeah, I don't care about Chris. I don't. Um, Honey, there's a lot of people who made a lot of money off Summer. For sure. That is why I started looking through my notes and stuff again because, you know, I can talk about Summer without being monetized. I don't have a problem with that. Summer is kind of the one that brought me to YouTube. For sure. For sure. Leslie, thank you, Angie's Life. It's good to see you, Angie's Life. Thank you for that. Leslie, why the freak couldn't I remember Leslie? For real. Lower, lower, lower Delas. Right? Okay. Don pretended to be in rehab. Nice guy he is, you know. That guy went and stood out in front of the door of a rehab facility, knowing his ass wasn't going to go through that door. For sure. Hey, that rhymes. I'm a poet and don't know it. For sure. Now, we've talked about this before. It was very kind of obvious with what a couple people said about Candace misplacing her children. Okay. They say she would partake in her after 5 o'clock delight. If you ask Don, he said about 5:30. She starts nipping it. You know, and I guess she would kind of lose the kids. So she also took Summer's toys to the church. Robin talked about cleaning the toys for the kids' Christmas play at church. At this time, what did I say? November? They were not seeing the boys like they should have been. Hey, Linda. You know, little Deb, the thing about it is, I hope before my time on this wonderful earth comes to a close that we have resolution. But the thing about it is, when I go to the pearly gates of heaven, I will know then. Okay, sorry, Chad called real quick. All right, I forgot what I was saying, dang it. Don said he asked Benny not to go after Sheriff Ronnie Lawson. Now, let's talk about Sonia for a minute, okay? Sonia basically was telling Don to quit talking. She didn't want Don talking to YouTubers. Now, I'm going to say allegedly, because I would have to find exactly where this was talked about. But Don's sister's husband allegedly was registered. I'll just say it like that, right? Registered. And it was after Summer went missing, they went on vacation to a different country. Right? Okay, so Don pretended he was in rehab. They were doing messed up shit. We know the phone call with Mary, that crazy phone call with Mary. Let's see. When Hunter answered Candace's call that Summer was gone, he said, "For real, call Allie." That's what he said. Now, here we go. I'm going to say, of course, Don Wells speaking here. We'll put a warning on it. Don said Summer's probably been traded off for substances and money and everything else. What is everything else, Don? What do you mean everything else? Is there things worse than substances and money? He says he hopes neither, but says, let's talk about reality. There is no other reason that someone would take Summer. And if you look at the industry, he goes into talking about PORN. while he's talking about his daughter. Okay, he says he hopes either, but let's talk about reality. There is no other reason someone would take Summer. If you look into the industry, the PORN industry, that is, to substance dealing, and could save Summer, but doesn't know where she is, and he will unalive MFers and would unalive for any little kid. He starts kind of, you know, going on about marrying Jeannie again. Says he loves these kids. Then says he loves everyone. To me, in my notes, I added as if to discount the love of his children. As if to discount the love of his kids. He loves his kids, but then he loves everyone. Right? Does that make sense? Here we go. I can see, but I didn't recognize it at the time. Says he was too young and stupid to understand. But looking back, he gets it. California, you know, a lot of shit in my time. That's what he said. And he's going to break out. He's breaking out. He says he's going to break out the straw before it's all over. Don basically says he's lived all over the freaking place. Okay? And, you know, we've seen them go to a few different states, and Summers went missing, right? I believe Don was born in Florida. You know, he talks about California, San Diego. Said he lived all over the place. He has seen the shit with his own eyes. He didn't recognize it at the time, but looking back, I understand what was happening. Said he tried to save some of these young girls. He understands. Said people are trying to shut him up. He wants to be truthful. He states, here we go, his daughter is probably out in the streets somewhere, and no one is listening to him. He knows where she's at. She is probably, here we go, y'all. She is probably in a motel with a fucking weirdo, with someone trying to sell her for a little crack Coca-Cola. He says he knows how it works. He said he knows how it works. Said he's seen it with his own eyes. Listen to this story. It is story time with Remain Calm. Come over. Let me tell you about Don Wells and the story he tells. So yeah, that's what that is just, I don't know. It always just ticked me off the way he would say things. For sure. but he says he's seen it. He knows how it works, seen it with his own eyes. He said one girl off the street. Okay, wait a minute. He took one girl off the street and asked her, "What are you doing out here in Cracktown?" He took her to an old woman's house that was full of runaways. Said he didn't understand it when he was there. When he was right there. So he goes from that to talking about Allie again. That's a big switch up in a conversation, right? Now, the story about the runaways. Let me tell you about the runaway story. So, Don says he's in Crackalacaville, and all of a sudden, he sees a young girl on the side of the road, dressed, dressed in a improper way for a young lady. And out of the kindness of his heart, he stops. And he's like, "Girl, what are you doing out here? You shouldn't be out here. Let me take you home." So the girl climbs in his vehicle. He takes her home. And he gets in the house and basically says that there's not only a female, males, young minor children in this older lady's home, and that they all proceed to do substances, right? They all proceed to do substances, is what he said. So let's see. Dawn talks about Benny in here. Okay. So Dawn says that law enforcement told him he was trying to sell Summer for substances. And so he goes to Knoxville, says that he spends $2,000 on substances and hands it out like he's Santa Crack Fairy. Okay. That's what he said. He basically said that he outrun him on the highway and everything, right? I remember a conversation, and I believe it's on the Don Wells Family Channel. Benny Keys asked him about doing that and proceeded to ask him if it was just whiskey talk, him talking about going and getting $2,000 worth of stuff. His answer is very interesting for sure. So we also know that, I don't think that it's, alleged that he, makes trips to Knoxville to do his thing. So, but yeah, he outran them. He outran them. Hang on a minute. Give me 1 second, you guys, please. 1 second. Okay. Thank you, Poppy. Hey, Rapper, how are you? What you been doing, Rapper? Oh, Jesus, take the wheel. Um, Look, the thing about Chris McDonough, I've said this many times. Most of the people that showed his indiscretions and all that stuff, I mean, it's cool that they did that because we kind of understood that he wasn't this perfect guy. Okay, for sure. But a lot of times what you see is people who have their own indiscretions and stuff are calling out somebody over their indiscretions. And we see that. We see that, people. So, but to each their own. To each their own. Now, what's kind of interesting is because I have Jody talking to Ziggy about the November 13th phone call with Dawn, right? This is when the N words were flying, right? So I have quite a bit more, but you guys want to keep going for a little bit longer, or you want to spend about 20 minutes talking about everything we've talked about? Now, in the description, I have a link to Lippy's channel and to Killer Looks. Both of those are very interesting. I want to make sure to show Lippy's. I'm not going to do it today. I'm going to keep that. I'm keeping that in the description. Okay. So if y'all want to kind of touch base with it and see what you think before we talk about it, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. We will talk about it tomorrow. Not today. We're not doing 3 hours today, my friends. At all. At all. At all. Am I driving? Driving where? Where do you want me to drive to, Poppy? I don't know. Does he? Well, he said that everybody's a snitch. Oh, my channel. Yes, I am. I'm driving my channel. Obviously, I drug it right into the ground. No, I didn't. No. I mean, yeah, we kind of got a little feisty over here the last couple lives or whatever, but I hadn't been posting, you guys. I mean, I got freaking sick. So when I was coming on every day, at least for an hour or more, but you guys got to remember too, I didn't, I removed the music for sure, Poppy. I did. I didn't have anything with music in it at all. For sure. But no, what I'll do if you guys don't care, I mean, I do have a Venmo Cash App if you want to support. And thank you guys for supporting already. I appreciate it so much. It really, 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 really means a lot. It does. I will throw it up there just for a second. I don't like running. I don't like putting that stuff up there when I'm talking about a child. For sure. But there is the banner, does have the information on there. I think it's at the beginning of the live, and then if you guys don't care, I mean, maybe I'll do a little wish list for sure. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I love getting some things, but I've always tried not to be a big materialistic person. For sure. I mean, if I get me something, I do try to make sure it's something that lasts me a long time. That's just the way I am. It has to be usable. Well, that's not true, because I do have some collector stuff, but for sure. So we will definitely get into that. We shall. Hold on, let me see what page I'm on, because I marked some pages so we can talk about a little something else here. Where did I start at? Hold on, I'm looking for page 47 for some reason. Why do I need page 47? 45. Okay. We're going to, when we talk about killer looks, I want to talk about where all of Summer's scent was allegedly picked up. Yeah, they took my monetization, Linda. But we'll be okay. No, 3 months, babe. 3 months. Hey, I may not have made much, but we'll be okay. We will be fine, people. Sarah was kind enough to let me know that quite a few people's lost theirs for some reason. So I think that I got sick and I wasn't on here, and I wasn't on here every day. I am going to try to put out a video here and there. I just need to start doing that. Also, in my comments, I don't like to fight with people in comments, but don't get me wrong. If you want to leave a comment about what we discussed in a live or something, please feel free to do that. So I do check that. As far as Facebook, I am very guilty of not hardly ever going to Facebook. For real. So, but no, we're not going to cry about it over here, okay? I mean, it's sad, but it is what it is. And, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. We'll get back there. We shall overcome. For sure. Yeah, a lot of people are like that, Linda. Well, yeah, I just got the Venmo and the Cash App. A lot of people say get like PayPal, and I guess there's like 20 different apps you can get. No, I don't think it's that many, but For sure. Well, we'll just have to try to make it a little bigger and better. Right? We can only improve. That's it. So we got the footprints. See this, okay. This has always kind of gotten to me. And I know I know this has to be out there somewhere where what the hell was I gonna say? My mind just went blank. My mind went blank. It had to do with Jody. What was it? Oh, you guys, I know this is out there somewhere where what the fuck was I gonna say? Ugh. That's horrible when I do that. That is horrible when I do that, right? Oh, I remember, and if somebody remembers this, please let me know, or it'll drive me crazy and I'll have to go digging for it. Jody says that she was the one that told Don Wells about the scent going down the dog trail. Did anybody else remember hearing that? I'll say allegedly right now until I can pull the receipts out. Does anybody remember that? Because she also talked about being in the vehicle with Don Wells, and I don't know if he was taking her to the store or whatever, and she claimed that he was live with somebody and had said something about the red truck or something, and they got no service or something. He got knocked off or something. And she says to him, you know that they're going to think that you're talking about, the red truck that law enforcement's talking about. She said Don thought that was funny. He thought it was funny that he mentioned the red truck and then he gets cut off from this live or whatever. And, that is what was said, I guess. Right? Does that make sense? No reason, Terry Southern Girl. I have to look into it a little bit more, but Sarah said a lot of channels are having problems right now. So yeah, Jody basically says, that they're going to think you're talking about the red truck. And Don didn't care. He thought it was funny. You remember hearing that, Kirst? Thank you, Kirst. I remember her saying that too. Sure did. And why? I mean, seriously, why would you need to tell Don Wells that? You would have thought law enforcement would have told Don Wells. Law enforcement had to have known he was out there with other kids and videoing them and, all that other stuff. Law enforcement had to have known he was doing that. Right? I don't know. But yeah, she was very, I guess, educated Don Wells a few times. Right? For sure. For sure, for sure. Oh, let's see. Well, I'll always say this because um, I do think that even with everything that Candace has shown us here on social media, I really think that, you know, I get that her personality was that she was very uncomfortable, you know, speaking with people. That changed, but Don said on shares he's seen the other red wreck truck down by Simpson on 650. You know, Cursed, this is what gets me, okay? Because allegedly, hang on, y'all, just a second, please. Okay, so, Dawn that day, right? Dawn that day allegedly was in this area of this wrecked truck. With the thing about it is, Andy says that where Dawn said this truck was wrecked was not where it was wrecked. He says that it was in the Gap, right? If I remember correctly, Don was in his white truck that day, right? If this happened the morning Summer went missing, the pictures that Don Wells has in that area is his white truck. So, did he turn around and take his truck back and take the Subaru? Does this make sense? Right? Because the pictures that I've seen are Don was in his white truck. So if he took the Subaru to work, he would have had to go back home and get the Subaru, right? Huh. Okay, so you know, this is the thing too. You guys remember the bullshit $50,000 deal that, you know, Don tried to, I think it was Prayer Garden, and he said he was messing around and talked about a mafia $50,000 deal, right? And that them giving him Coca-Cola. And then Don said, who would give him all that money and have some said that, yes, the cartel would do something like that. And that amount comes into play with a film where they unalive individuals. Yeah, you guys remember that. They talked about a SNUFF film being sold for 50,000. Okay. He talks about the $2,000 deal again. You know what gets me too? Don Wells having other people write letters to his daughter. That was crazy to me, right? It happened in August. Dewey Lemons and girlfriend. Why'd he say it happened in June? That's crazy. How do you go from freaking June to August? That's a long time. Well, they don't keep time, do they? Right? None of them keep time. Nobody's got to watch. Okay, so, that was a big topic of conversation. Um, you know, oh, he was talking about Prayer Garden in this conversation too. This is a conversation with Cher. He basically said that situation was just an emotional, an emotional, whatever you want to call it. I mean, when Don got mad at women, he talked about them like freaking dogs. He would say horrible things about these freaking women, for sure. Now, Don again talks about calling CPS. He called CPS to come and get his boys. That's the whole thing about it. It was always about Don. Don said he didn't owe money to the mafia and said he would have went to law enforcement himself to have them help get Summer back. I don't know. I don't know. So Don, of course, says that he would tell stories. Don fucked with people. He liked fucking with people. He really did. He thought it was funny. Like when, and this is my opinion, when him and old Fred hooked up on the bone situation, right? And then Ziggy shows up and she's like, yeah, why doesn't Don Wells like you? She comes, I mean, that's like the first thing she says to Fred. And I'm like, you're just going to come out and say that to somebody you don't fucking know? So then we have this bone incident, right? It was ridiculous. I really, when the thing about it is, when she contacts law enforcement about Fred and the bone situation, right? She tells them immediately that she's a YouTuber. She tells them right away she's a YouTuber. I don't know. I don't know. So Don is the one that called CPS, said, please come and get my boys. It's dangerous out here, et cetera, et cetera. Candace actually cried. Candace cried while talking about someone named Sissy. Candace said she's a wannabe friend who called Candace a little hoe and bitch. Dawn doesn't care how anyone speaks to her. Isn't that crazy? Candace cried over a lot of friends, a whole lot. Now, Don says that he's, he had money in the bank and a full-time job. He had gotten a loan for the Subaru. Well, they were still paying those loans, right? Then it was a big thing, a fight, because Voices Behind the Wall had told Dawn not to talk to Ernie Shell, Mr. Predator Hunter Nation at the time, I believe. So, yeah, see, unfortunately, I mean, it's like a lot of those conversations are more about Don and what people have done to him, right? But it was like a freaking soap opera. Like a freaking soap opera, my friends. Well, y'all, this has been hey, thanks for hanging out. Let me go through my notes. As I said, the links in the description. If you guys want to check those out, feel free to do so. Both of them are really good. Makes sense. I just started watching them and I had stuff to add to it. I always have stuff to add. For real. A lot of people got their stimulus checks. For sure. Well, I hope the conversation was good. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Poppy. I appreciate you so much. Mr. A, I don't know where you're at, but thank you. He does always pop in, for sure. And we're not going to feel bad about the monetization thing, okay? For real. For real, girlfriends. All right. I'll throw my Cash App and Venmo up there right now. If you would like to support the channel, it would be very much appreciated. But if you can't, that's okay too. I still want you to come and hang out. For sure. For sure. All right, 2 hours. Be you, do you. If you got to get a little feisty, you go right ahead and do it. We're going to keep trucking over here. We are. And I appreciate you guys so much. And please, pray that something comes to fruition in the Summer Wells case. For sure. I will catch you guys next time. Peace out. Peace out, my friends. Flies, we're praying for you, honey. We are. I hope she feels better. I know what it was like being sick. It is so hard to get rid of it. I probably drank more orange juice than I have forever. For sure. All right. Thank you guys again. Peace out.